As the shadow will. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. For the Lich King. Die. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. They'll all be mine. First for the Lich King. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. Tremble before the scourge. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. Intrigue. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. What does the shadow will? Die. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. Intrigue. As the shadow will. None shall survive. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Die. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. The restless dead await. What does the shadow will? Intrigue. As the shadow will. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. The restless dead await. As the shadow will. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. None shall survive. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. Intrigue. As the shadow will. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. Die. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow will. Intrigue. As the shadow will. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Intrigue. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. Tremble before the scourge. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. None shall survive. Tremble before the scourge. The dead shall serve. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. What does the shadow will? Let darkness guide me. As the shadow will. The dead shall serve. The restless dead await. Let darkness guide me. The dead shall serve. Intrigue. shall survive. Intrigue. What does the shadow will? Let darkness guide you. This better be good. For the Lich King, let darkness guide me. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. As the shadow will. What does the shadow will? Intrigue. For the Lich King, let darkness guide me. For the Lich King, let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills, let darkness guide me. Intrigue. For the Lich King, as the shadow wills. Intrigue. As the shadow wills, let darkness guide me. The shadows beckon. The dead shall serve. This better. The restless dead await. This better. For the Lich King. Intrigue. For the Lich King, let darkness guide me, as the shadow wills. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me, as the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King, as the shadow wills. For the Lich King, as the shadow wills. For the Lich King, as the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me, as the shadow wills. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King, 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 let darkness guide me. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. Intrigue. None shall survive. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. What does the shadow will? This better. For the Lich King. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. As the shadow wills. What does the shadow will? For the Lich King. Intrigue. For the Lich King. Intrigue. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue. The shadows beckon. The restless dead await. What does the shadow will? As the shadow wills. The dead. This better be. The restless dead await. darkness guide me. Shall serve, intriguing, as the shadow wills, for the Lich King. What does the shadow will? Intriguing, for the Lich King. As the shadow wills, let darkness guide you. Intriguing, this better. They'll all be mine. What does the shadow will? As the shadow will, or the Lich King. The restless dead await, intriguing. As the shadow will, die, intriguing. Let darkness guide you. Tremble before the scourge. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. What does the shadow will? As the shadow wills. The restless dead await for the Lich King. As the shadow wills. This better. As the shadow wills, for the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. Intriguing, for the Lich King. Intriguing, for the Lich King. Intriguing. The dead shall serve, as the shadow wills. Intriguing, for the Lich King. Intriguing, for the Lich King. As the shadow wills, let the darkness guide. Intriguing, as the shadow wills, this better be. Intriguing, as the shadow wills, for the Lich King. Let darkness guide you. For the Lich King. Intriguing, for the Lich King. Die! What does the shadow will? This better be good. Let darkness guide me. The restless dead await, intriguing, as the shadow wills. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me, for the Lich King. This better be good. Let darkness guide me, for the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. What does the shadow will? The restless dead await. What does the shadow will? Restless dead await. This better be good. The dead shall serve, for the Lich King. Intriguing, for the Lich King. Intriguing, let darkness guide me. As the shadow will. Intriguing, for the Lich King. None shall survive. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. This better be good. What does the shadow will? The restless dead await for the Lich King. Intriguing. As the shadow will. This better be good. Tremble before the scourge, for the Lich King. As the shadow wills. What does the shadow will? For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me, for the Lich King. Let darkness guide me, or the Lich King. Intrigue, or the Lich King. As the shadow wills, the restless dead await. Intrigue, as the shadow wills. This or the Lich King. Intrigue, as the shadow wills. The restless dead wait, the dead shall serve. For the Lich King, they'll all be mine. What does the shadow will? The restless dead await, the dead shall serve. Let darkness guide me, for the Lich King. What does the shadow will? Intrigue. As the shadow wills, or the Lich King, as the shadow wills, let darkness guide me, intrigue, let darkness guide me, as the shadow wills, or the Lich King, as the shadow wills, let darkness guide me, as the shadow wills. Or the Lich King. Intrigue, as the shadow will. Or the Lich King, as the shadow will. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue, let darkness guide me, as the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue.
啊，没走没走。
Beckon. The dead shall serve. This better. As the shadow, darkness guide me. As the shadow will. Intrigue, or the Lich King. Intrigue. What does the shadow do? The restless dead await. Let darkness guide me, or the Lich King. Intrigue. More work. This better be good. The dead shall serve, or the Lich King. As the shadow will, let darkness guide me, or the Lich King. This better. As the shadow will, or the Lich King. Intrigue, or the Lich King. What is it? As the shadow will, let darkness guide me. None shall survive, as the shadow will. Intrigue, or the Lich King, as the shadow will. Let darkness guide me. Intrigue, or the Lich King, the restless dead wait, as the shadow will. Darkness guide me. As the shadow will. They'll all be mine in the end. Intrigue, as the shadow will. Intrigue, this better. Let darkness guide me, as the shadow will. Let darkness guide me as the shadow will. Let darkness guide me. The restless dead await. As the shadow will, the dead shall serve. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me.
Tremble before the scourge.
As the shadow will. The shadows beckon. Let darkness guide me. Who wills? Guide me. As the shadow wills. Let what does the shadow will? As the shadow wills, let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. As the shadow wills, for the Lich King. As the shadow wills, let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Intriguing. For the Lich King. Intriguing. For the Lich King. Intriguing. As the shadow will. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. Intriguing. For the Lich King. As the shadow wills. Intriguing. Yes, my lord. This better be good. As the shadow wills. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. Intriguing. What does the shadow will? The dead shall serve. What? As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Intriguing. As the shadow will. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. As the shadow wills. Intriguing. Die. Let darkness guide me. The restless dead await. Intriguing. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me.
What is it? All
this
right.
Better be good. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me.
All work.
The dead shall serve. For the Lich King.
What is it?
Intriguing. As the shadow wills.
Yes, my lord.
Intriguing. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Intriguing. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. Restless dead await. None shall survive. The dead shall serve. Intriguing. This better be good. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Die! The dead shall serve. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. Intriguing.
Tremble before the scourge.
For the Lich King. Intriguing. As the shadow wills. Intriguing.
Yes, my lord. I guess
What
I
does
can.
the shadow will?
No one
This
else
better be
available.
good. For the Lich King. Intriguing. What does the shadow will? This better be good. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. Die!
What is it?
What does the shadow will? Let darkness guide me. Intriguing.
先升到16。
As the shadow wills. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. This better be. Intriguing. None shall survive. For the Lich King. Intriguing. Darkness guide
Tremble before the scourge.
as the shadow wills. Intriguing. The dead shall serve as the shadow wills. Intriguing. For the Lich King. Intriguing.
What is it?
This better be good. For the Lich King. As the shadow wills.
I guess I can. Forward. Yes, my lord.
What does the shadow will? Intriguing. This better be good. For the Lich King. Intriguing. The restless dead await. For the Lich King. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King. What does the shadow will? This better be good. What does the shadow will? Let darkness guide me. The dead shall serve as the shadow wills. Intriguing. For the Lich King. The restless dead await. What does the This better be good. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. For the Lich King.
What is it?
The dead shall serve. The restless dead await.
Forward.
Let darkness guide me.
Yes, my
This
lord.
better be good. Let darkness guide me. What does the shadow will? The restless dead await.
Forward.
The dead shall serve. Get in.
哎，你们不回来啊？
Let me at him! None shall survive. For the Lich King. Tremble before the scourge. For the Lich King. None shall survive. Die. Let darkness guide you. As the shadow will. Let darkness guide you. As the shadow will. For the Lich King. The shadows beckon, intriguing. For the Lich King, this better be good. Intriguing. What does the shadow will? This better be good. For the Lich King, the dead shall serve. Intriguing. What does the shadow will? Let darkness guide me. Intriguing. Let darkness guide me. The restless dead await. Intriguing. As the shadow will. The dead shall serve. Intriguing. For the Lich. As the shadow wills. Let darkness guide me, as the shadow will. For the Lich King, let darkness guide me. For the Lich King, as the shadow wills. Intriguing. What does the shadow will? For the Lich King, as the shadow wills.
Yes, me lord. Off I go then.
This better be good. Let darkness guide me. Intriguing. As the shadow wills.
Yes, me lord.
Intriguing. Tremble before the scourge. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow wills. For the Lich King. Die! None shall survive. Tremble before the scourge. For the Lich King. As the shadow will. For the Lich King. As the shadow will.
Yes, me lord. All right. Off I go then. Righto. Alright. Off I go then. Righto. Off I go then. Righto. Off I go then. Yes, me lord. Alright. Righto. Yes, me lord. Righto. Off I go then. What? Alright. Off I go then. Alright.
The shadows.
What is it?
What does the shadow will? This better be good. Let darkness guide me. As the shadow will.
所以说我们赢了吗？好像是哦。赢了赢了赢了。